All right, guys, Guns and Gear Network bringing you an update video actually for the budget precision, not so budget precision rifle build. I've got a little update. If people have watched that video earlier, you will notice there's been some changes. Changes this time was pretty cheap. I camouflaged it. So I wanted to show you guys my results and kind of what I did and how I did it. Also you'll see this. This was a father and son project. My kid had some days off from school and I decided we would camouflage rifles, and of course, like any young son, 6 years old, they like what daddy likes a lot of times, and he wanted a rifle like daddy's. This is his 22 Cricket that I bought him the day he was born at the hospital. But anyway, guys, the method I used for this was pretty simple, and I think you'll like it. It's pretty easy. It's called the sponge method. There's some other video YouTubers that's made videos about this, but I was wanting to tell you a little bit about how I did mine. First thing we did was lay down a base coat of OD green. It's actually, this is the Rust-Oleum Camouflage, and this is actually deep forest green. It's pretty much an OD green. And I'll show you the paints I used is here. I used in this project earth brown, the deep forest green, khaki, army green, black, and then I finished it off with the Krylon Color Master. This is a flat clear, crystal clear, acrylic crystal clear flat is what they call that. And so what I did, you lay down a base coat of green first. I live in the southern part of the United States. We've got a lot of green. So I laid down a base coat of green. If you're out west, you may want to lay down a base coat of tan. Kind of depends on your environment, because we have a lot of greenery here. I did a base coat of green, and even in the wintertime, of course, we have a lot of pine trees, so we have a lot of green anyway, even in the winter. So what I did was I laid down a base coat on both these rifles of green. Then I went back and I wanted to lighten it up as far as how it breaks up in a background. So I did a lot of tan in bigger spots. So you'll notice a lot of these bigger splotches are tan. So what you do is I use sponges like this. This is those little square sponges that come usually in like a 4-pack at Home Depot or Lowe's or Walmart or something. And what I did was I kind of tore it at an angle so you get kind of this rough edge. Some people use a natural sponge, like a sea sponge. I prefer this. It's a little more manageable, I think, and it gives a nice result. And what I did is I tore a bunch of these up for each color. I took each color that I wanted to start with after I did the base coat of green. The base coat of green, I did about 6 coats of green on that to get a good base. If you want to prime it first, you could. I did not prime it on this one. You probably could do that, maybe with some better results, but I've not had an issue with this on other projects I've done. So what I did was I started, I took some paper plates, sprayed a puddle of paint color that I wanted to start with, like tan. And I would dab it on the paint, and then I would start touching the rifle in spots that I wanted the tan. Same process with all the colors. I didn't want a lot of black, so you'll see just a few specks of black throughout that, just kind of to give it a little shadowy effect. And then the not as much sage green, or not sage, they call this army green. It's kind of a sagey kind of green. I didn't want a lot of that, so I put some of that, quite a bit of brown, and just kind of mixed it up. Worked out great. The process is super fast and easy. Once I got everything done, I let it dry between coats, and I found you really don't even have to do that, but you can do your tan and go around your rifle however you want it, and then let that dry. Usually within 5 or 10 minutes, it's dry enough to go start putting on your other colors that you want to do. Once all of it dried up really well, a couple hours worth, I went back over pretty much all day, and I probably sprayed at least 6 or 8 coats of this. And the reason is, it's kind of like the paint on your car. Clear coat is there for a reason. It protects your paint. Well, this right here, the more coats of this you put on, the more protected your paint will be from scratches. So if you want it to wear don't wear a lot over a quick period of time, I would suggest you put a lot of coats on. Just put them on thin. Don't put on a lot at one time. Real thin coats. Same thing with your paint when you're putting down the base coat of green, and then knock it out that way. And I like the results. I think it did really well. I did take the Kydex riser off and hung it when I was doing it. Took everything off the rifle to do it, obviously, but I also took the Kydex riser off and I did it as like a separate piece. But if you kind of do them together at the same time, because if not, for some reason the patterns don't ever turn out like, it looks like you did it separate weeks or days or whatever. So I tried doing it all in the same time, whatever you want to camouflage that day. The reason I like this method, other than the base coat, everything else is so easy controllable. When you get into misting and stencils and stuff like that, I've tried the stencils, I didn't like them. This is so much more controllable. So if you want to break up, you know, up here and put this and that, different colors you can, and it's so controllable. And I call it, it's easy enough for a 6-year-old to do it. The reason is because my son loved doing this project. This is something he loved, getting his little hands in there and dabbing it in the paint and sticking it here. Daddy, what do you think about this? And how does that look? And the cool thing about it is if they dab here and they don't get enough, you know, you can go in and put a little more for them and help them. But it's so easy that even my 6-year-old son did most of his rifle himself, other than the base coat. I sprayed that for him so he wouldn't have to worry about getting even coats and stuff like that. But the rest of it, man, it's like finger painting. They love it. Just dab the stuff in there and dab it on. And he had a blast with it. It was a good project for me and him, the father and son project. And we really enjoyed ourselves doing it. So if you got any kids out there, practice, want to do a rifle, we did this little 22 cricket for him, and then did my rifle same day. We just did it kind of a day project, and we really enjoyed ourselves. So anyway, if you guys got any questions, feel free to post them below. And as always, like, share, and subscribe, and we'll get you another video out here shortly. I appreciate it, guys. Thank you very much for watching.